those aren't poisonous, right?
And I don't think you have anything to worry about.
That's cold.
Yep.
All right, just a quick garden update. As you guys can see here, the wheat is starting to turn gold. I think in a few weeks, maybe a month, wheat will be ready to harvest. So that'll be quite a job for us. We're gonna do that by hand. We'll see how it goes. Onions are doing great. We're doing a little experiment here where I've cut, you can see I've trimmed the tops off of about half of them. And then the other half down there, I'm letting them go as is. So we'll see. I've read that trimming them will give you some bigger onions. So there's a little scientific experiment for you. As you remember, we had some peppers that just never came up. So we're growing some weeds right there now. But we got carrots. Carrots are doing quite nicely. They're finally starting to take off and get bigger. They were growing in the weeds not too long ago and we're kind of getting choked out, but it's amazing how getting those weeds out really helps everything go along. As I mentioned, we had planted some heirloom seeds and they just never sprouted. I don't know if they were too old or something we didn't do right, but anyway, they never sprouted, and this was a weed patch up until this weekend. This has been Weedmageddon this weekend. So anyway, we planted 2 rows of soybeans, or if you're fancy, you can call it edamame. We're gonna eat it fresh. That's what we like to do, just split open the pod when the beans are still green and eat them fresh. The one thing that did make it in this row is the fava beans. They're doing well. But other than that, got 2 rows of bush beans. So they were being choked out by weeds too. Amazing how when you have a baby, priorities change a little bit, but we finally made it out. And the beans are growing again. We've been watering them a little more. They were in pretty bad shape. What else? Remember, I kind of waited on this row to plant anything. I waited till a few weeks ago and found some volunteer tomato plants that had sprouted up from last year. I really don't like buying tomato plants because they seem to grow everywhere you grew them before. So there they are. They're still kind of small, but once we get a little rain, I think they'll do really well. I'm going to tie them up using these stakes. What else? Sunflower seeds. Man, I should be a sunflower gardener. These are, I can't get these to stop growing. They're going great, doing really well. Again, you can see they're all kind of pointed that way, which is where the sun is. Remember, they follow the sun, that's why they call them sunflowers. Amazing. And take you down here to the last little bit of what we got growing. So not too long ago I planted some watermelons and they're still pretty small. Let's see if we can find one. There's one right there. So got our watermelons. There's another one down the line. So I know these will probably take over, but the beans are going to be done sooner than later, and so I'm going to let the watermelons spread out into where the beans are growing. And what else? Got a few stragglers here at the end. I had a couple leftover zucchini seeds, so I just planted 2 down here. We always plant a whole bunch every year and wind up throwing a whole bunch away. They're just real prolific, so we figure 2 plants will do just fine. Aside from that, the lettuce garden is done. It started getting bitter when the weather got hot, but there's that border I planted once upon a time, a little square border there. And I keep telling you we're done, but I keep remembering more things, so I guess the tour will continue. So over here behind the wheat is the pumpkin patch. So everywhere there's a stake or a bamboo stick is a pumpkin. This has been a bit of a chore getting the weeds out, but been kind of just maintaining this as I go, so it's really not as difficult as letting those weeds get real tall. And all right, last one, I promise, is the corn patch around the barn. So this, originally I planted a bunch of sweet corn, and the seed was about 2 years old. And I thought maybe I planted the seed too deep, or maybe it didn't get watered. But really, I think it was just not the best seed in the world. So if you look down there, the lighter green patch where we got a little bit of grass growing in, that's the sweet corn corner. Everything that made it, or everything that sprouted, I should say, I transplanted down there into a block. The rest is just good old-fashioned field corn. So I planted this deeper. I planted this about 6 inches deep. I read, I think you plant up to a foot, you'll still get decent germination. Corn can really withstand being planted fairly deep. So I figured down there is where the moisture is. And since we haven't gotten rain in, I'd say at least a month, maybe even 6 weeks since a real good rain. I think we got one light sprinkle maybe a month ago, but it's been super dry here. And we really haven't watered much until this past weekend. So things are going, I'd say, surprisingly well, except farm dog keeps stomping down my corn. I'm about to, I don't know, send her on a vacation or something. Driving me nuts. But anyway, the corn patch is doing really well. Hopefully we'll have plenty of corn to feed the chickens. So thanks for watching, folks. I best let you go. Sun's going down. It's time for me to get to bed. I got work in the morning. See you later.